Hello everyone, welcome back to another video by Clip on my YouTube channel. So, as I mentioned in the previous video, I am going to add one series of plugin reviews, as there are a lot of topics that I want to cover, which are a bit smaller. So I really want to go inside of smaller details and basically to go through some of the plugins that I really think are worth of at least trying, if not buying or purchasing. So the first plugin that I want to do review of is Vocengo PJ979. So why did I chose this plugin? As the whole plugin industry lately, there's a lot of new plugins coming out almost every week or every month, and only thing that I can see, it is a bit of the performance that is upgrading as the new plugins are coming out. There are more options, but generally it's like all the plugins, the new that are coming out, they just extend, they have a bit more of functionalities. Let's say the new delay plugins, they start adding LFOs, they start adding some different types, some smoothness on the feedbacks, but generally they are all similar in a way of the delay plugin is a delay plugin. Now, the newer ones have a bit more options, but they are still a delay plugins. While Voxengo PJ979 is the only third-party plugin that I know of that doing what it does, and this is controlling the phase. So by manipulating the phase, we can get much better results in the low end, especially. Basically, I do not do anything around phasing if it's not on the low end, because it just doesn't have sense and it will be too much of work for results that people won't be able to hear those results straight away. So first I will need to explain a little bit about the phase for people who don't understand what the phase is. So in this project I made just one sine wave, which is on 100 Hz, which doesn't matter in this case, and then I have exactly the same in different channel as well. So if I play both of them, we'll get the signal that just doubles because we have these two same signals. So what happens when we flip the phase? We get no signal. And why is that? So we have the oscillation that goes up and then goes down. So when we flip the phase, basically we are changing the direction of in which direction it will go. So if we have a speaker that sits in the middle without any signal, so when this goes up, the speaker knows that it should move in front. So it moves in front. How much it will move forward, it depends how this oscillation is loud. And then if you double that signal, it will just increase the volume of that signal. So when we flip the phase, we have the same power trying to move the speaker forward, and another one signal is doing the same thing, just in opposite direction. So it tries to pull it backwards, and that way we have the same power on the speaker, just in opposite directions, but that makes the speaker to stay without moving, and that way it doesn't produce any pressure on the air, so we don't get any results back. This is when you flip the phase for 180% as it's written over here. If I just insert the PJ979 and if I do force mono, because now we're gonna come to this plugin, what it does, there's a delay area where you can make a delay of the certain effect on the left channel or in the right channel. You can disable it. There's a calculator for doing this, but this is another thing. Making a different delay in time on the plugins. There are a lot of plugins that you can do off. There's also in Cubase, there's also this way in a surround, where is this mixer? Let me just check it. Mixer delay, where you can just set the difference between left and right channels in milliseconds. So it is not the option of PJ979 is this one over here, because what you can do with it is that you can manipulate from 0 to 180. You can find the spots in between. So the effect it would be as if I just make this one shorter. So it won't move the sample. This delay part is gonna move sample in front if you go in a plus, or minus if you go in a backwards. So this is what it's gonna do. But when you start changing the phase, it's gonna be like it's gonna move, changing the phase without changing the start position of the sample, which is really, really useful, especially when it comes for designing the bassline to be in the same position with the tail of the kick if you want to perfectly align the kick and the bass, which I also do not advise you to do, because we will see right now. In this case, I made a kick and the bass, and especially I made them to be in G, because usually the best frequency in the low end is around 50, and it's the warmest one and it's most powerful in my opinion. 40 is also, but 40 is already really hard to hear, and you will need a lot of, not a lot of, you will need really good high-end speakers or subwoofer and really good acoustically treated rooms to manipulate and to work with 40 hertz frequencies, which are like super, super heavy. And then if you set up the bassline in G, it means that first harmonic is going to be at 49 point something, around 50. And this is why I made this bassline to be in G. So what's happening? Here I have oscilloscope, and I already made the kick and the bass line when you just combine them to see what's going on with the phase. Now what I was explaining before, if I start, what I did for the bass line is I pressed force mono. As bass line I always use mono, and it's easier to work on. Even if I want to make it a little bit more stereo later on, I can turn it off, but I will have the exact phase position on the PJ979, so I won't be, because it's just working with two different knobs is just a little bit harder. Anyway, so when I press play now and I start moving, you will see like I'm moving the bassline left and right, but you will hear that the beginning of the sample or the bassline is gonna be exactly on the grid. Also now by moving the phase, we can see that we have a different position of those ones, while we have much more space for from this side. And if we move it, so it also can help you in a way of not having the peaks in the low end as well, because you can set the phase much, much better. Now you can apply the same for the kick as well, and then you can change. Actually, I'm gonna do it right now. Just need to put. So I'm gonna set also force mono for the kick as well, just because it's easier to work on. So this is the phase. Those oscillations is like they are moving left and right, but basically the sample is starting on the same position. Now, if I move this knob over here, you will see that the start point of the sample will go left or right, depending on which direction I'm gonna move it. And you can also hear there's a big difference in the sound. For example, this is something that is completely opposite of the phase, whereas the phase cancellation is happening. But then you just flip for 180 and it's gonna go in opposite direction. So now we can say that kick and the bass are perfectly aligning. As you can see, they follow this area over here. It doesn't matter because it's a really low in volume and it's not gonna disturb, but this one are following, this is following, and also this one, so you have a perfect alignment in this area over here. I know that in the videos before, my advice is not to perfectly align kick and the bass, because if you do, now if I measure the signal of the kick and bass together, we will see that we will have the peaks over here, because they are actually have exactly the same oscillations, which makes them to make a boost. Like my way, if I were wanting to make it to sounds the best possible, I will find where is the perfect alignment and I will just move it. This is the kick. I'm sorry, I wanted to move the bass line. To be honest, the bassline sounds the best on this spot, so I will probably move the kick. So I will move a little bit further, or my best way of aligning kick in the bass is if I remove in this area over here only on the first note of the bass line, if I reduce the first harmonic, and it's gonna lose a lot of the power, so there won't be any way for perfectly aligning kick in the bass. So now when I turned off the Blue Cat patchwork, you will see that this note is gonna be reduced a lot. So this is my favorite way, how do I perfectly align kick in the bass, but this is not the topic. The main topic was to make a review of PJ979 and actually what it can do with just few options over here. And if we uncheck the force mono, you have the side mix, how much you want, but to be honest, I didn't like the idea. If you try to widen up the whole channel with PJ979, then you can flip the left and right as left and right swamp, and then you have the mono mix and so on. Everything else you can find in other plugins, but this option over here to manipulate with the phase is just amazing. And as you can see right now, also you can change the phase a bit on the left and on the right channel, but I don't advise if you are working with the low end. And to be honest, I use Vocengo PJ979 only when I work with the low end. And where it can help you a lot is if you want to add another bass line, which I'm gonna try to do right now. Let's say Ace. No, actually, I'm gonna use silent. Turn off one, okay. Let's say pulse. Okay, retrieve one voice. Let's say just any. Now, if you have like multi layers of the bass line, this is where PJ979 is gonna just show you how much power it has. I'm not sure will you be able to hear the difference, because the things I'm talking about right now are really precise things, and also the audio quality of YouTube is not that good, so I'm not sure if I really hope that you're gonna be able to hear, but also I'm not sure were you able to hear those differences. But in my studio, this is like a night and a day difference when I just go from this position and this position over here, just like two different things. It's like the low end, everything is just smooth together. The kick and bass are becoming one unit. There's no two different things. They just started to sound as one unit as well, which gives this amazing warmth on the low end as well. This will be the easiest and I think the most proper way how to explain it is that when they the both phases are interacting good with each other, is just like they become one thing, and the warmness of the low end is become just really, really nice. So let's try to tweak with the silent bassline. Sure, but you probably hear how terrible it sounds on this area over here. Because now we have two different bass lines. Basically, I didn't do any low cut in this area. It would be smart if I just reduce a little bit. And every time we are applying a low cut, we are not just reducing the low end, we are changing the phase if we are not in linear phase mode, which I covered in some of the previous videos. But anyway, this video is supposed to be a smaller one. I really hope that you understood what I want to explain about Vocengo PJ979. And I really believe it's an amazing plugin. And it is the first one just because it's really unique one, as there's not much of the other plugins that are doing the similar thing as PHA979. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon with another video. Bye. Ciao.